A rainforest lunch without lunch. I'm Bridget Legault. I'm the community manager here in Calgary. My partner in crime, Amber Rowden, she is gallivanting around Greece or on her way home now, so she's not able to join us, but feel free to connect with either one of us online if you're new to the community and would like a bit of an intro into what's going on. We normally host community onboarding events. None are currently scheduled, but you can watch for them coming up back up in October. And we also have a group of active rainforesters up in Edmonton. So they're a volunteer steering committee. If you have any interest in participating in the movement up in the Edmonton region, feel free to reach out through info@rainforestab.ca or using those tags to access the Edmonton side of things. They have their own social accounts. Thanks, Dimitri, for confirming. So now my clicker is not working. Weird. Let's make sure it's. So we're testing out a new technical system here at Platform Calgary, which is why our room got changed. But it is a beautiful system, and we're really happy to be the test drivers this morning. So prior to getting started, we always like to take a moment to reflect on the traditional territories that we live, work, and play upon. And I'll play a bit of a video in order to do that. And for those of you who aren't in Calgary, please feel free to share the traditional lands you're sitting on in the chat.
The land plays a big factor in who we are. That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us strong people.
Growing up, my grandma always told me that the land took care of us, and it still is taking care of us, and it never asked for anything back.
It is a way of life to always honor the environment. It's not something that you just can turn on and off. It's a living daily lifestyle.
So thanks for taking a moment for that video. It is, we're approaching Truth and Reconciliation Day here in the country. So we ask that, you know, we take this moment to reflect.
What does it take to realize an idea? Or for a seed to
jump right into the rainforest video.
At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas, together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent, and resources can be evergreen. Visit rainforestab.ca to sign the social contract and start growing together.
So for those of you who are new to the community, the social contract is really core to our existence. If you haven't signed it yet, please feel free to hop on the website and do so. It's just a matter of handing over all your personal information, no, just your email. And that's another way we can also stay connected with you and keep you connected into what's happening in the ecosystem. So we always like to make mention that as per the rainforest analogy, so this whole movement's based upon an analogy that tech ecosystems are like actual rainforests. There's a very in-depth book on the subject if you were interested. We talk about this rainforest or ecosystem as having these 6 pillars, and they're all weighted differently and have kind of this difference of weighting and importance as well. And the foundation is culture, of course, and that's where we do a lot of our work here within the movement. And all the players in the ecosystem that are supporting startups and their founders are playing in, and overlapping across these pillars. We measure them every year through a survey where we ask for you to contribute your voice, whether you're new or been around the ecosystem for a while. And you can watch for that in coming months. We'll start ramping up for that. Really exciting news, actually, is that we have Shannon Peston, a DE&I practitioner previously with ATB Financial, now with Women's Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, supporting our work on the scorecard analysis. So watch for more information and some engaged activities that we'll be promoting around the work we're going to be doing with Shannon. Here is the QR code for the social contract. Have a seat wherever you'd like. Welcome. Don't be shy. Oh, you've got the QR code here on this cup if you missed the slide. And one last thing around kind of our digital community, which is powered by a platform called Inkly. This is a startup based out of Victoria and Calgary. And we are experimenting alongside them in true startup way, kind of trialing their product as they're building it. So this is a question-based platform where if you're curious about whatever, if you're trying to build a startup, if you're trying to access careers in technology, if you are scaling a company, we have investors on this platform. We have folks who have been around the block. We have newcomers, and everybody has unique experiences to share. So ask your questions on this platform. It will get matched through an algorithm to people who are uniquely positioned to answer your question. So it is the things that we like to say ChatGPT or Google cannot solve for you. And we are nearing the end of this pilot that we have been on with Inkly. And so we'll see if we keep things going or not. But there is some incredible knowledge to access through it if you are brave enough to just ask your questions. You can also do so anonymously if you need to do that. And we'll hop into this presentation, but unfortunately didn't have a slide because we were working with the tech setup here and I didn't have time to sneak one in. But this event here today, so we have folks who have joined online, over about 25 or so, and then this lovely room of people, all in partnership with Careers in Innovation and Technology, Careers in Technology and Innovation. Their founder, Zach's online because he's out in Vancouver, doing whatever you're doing, Zach, feel free to share in the chat. Growing the city community. But we have Tracy here who's going to share just a little bit about city before we get into the future of mobile development with our speakers. So do you want to come up here? You can also stand there because the cameras go both ways and we can test it, whatever you prefer. Let's test this out.
I'm Tracy. I'm with Careers in Technology and Innovation. I work with Zach. For those of you who don't know about our community, we focus on supporting diverse professionals build intentional careers through community support. So we have just cracked over the 300 mark for membership. We have 166 people that have found jobs in tech. 66 of those have been in just in this year. We have about 20 events a month that we do. We also are expanding across the country. So we have quite a few members in Edmonton. Like Bridget said, Zach's out in Vancouver. So we're in Vancouver and meeting with our members out there. So we're trying to expand and offer this community to other people. One of the things that we do have in our community is we have members, but we also have advisors that work in the community, in the tech community, and they help us help our members find their way through the job search process and growing their careers. And on that note, one of our advisors is Alex. Alex has about 11 years experience with mobile development, focusing on Android development. He actually has a course on through modern Android development, I believe it's called. And he founded the Maxim is also here, and Maxim is an Android developer. He's worked in both healthcare and in e-commerce. He likes to focus on the agile development process And he also is always improving his skills both personally and professionally through self-development. So I'll hand it off to
Yeah.
Alex and to Max.
I'll also just quickly mention, if you're here in person and you'd like to kind of follow along the chat online, because there's lots of chitter chatter happening here, you can log in. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll turn it over to Alex and Matt.
Thank you, Bridget and Tracy. Are you here? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you here. Welcome our online audience too. I hope that you will enjoy this session about modern mobile development. We didn't know for sure who will be our audience. That's why we tried to make technical things to be understandable by non-tech folks too. And let's start from the intros. I am Alex Zaitsev, mobile developer and Android team lead with more than 11 years of hands-on experience. I mostly work with Android and cross-platform in Kotlin multi-platform. And some of my latest achievements highlight that I've written from scratch and shipped Android application in unstoppable domains. It's a Web3 crypto startup. I grew team there from a single member who was me up to much more. And I was setting development processes and standards there. After that, I moved to Canada. And now I'm working for a local company, Digital TV, as a senior Android developer. A fact about myself, I cannot stop learning, and that's why I'm here today, telling you some interesting, I hope, information. But I'm not alone here today. Welcome, my co-speaker, Max.
Yeah, hi everyone. So actually, I just want to add some couple of things about Alex. He's a really good person, and I'm nice to work with him, and have to be a friend with him. And actually, I just wanted to say he also created the Udemy course, so join it. And yeah, I think you will find some interesting on that course. I sure it will find. So you may be wondering who's that guy that's standing here, near the Alex. Yeah, at the last time I joined to this conference, so let me introduce myself a little bit. I have the proven track records of designing and developing native Android applications. Yeah, more than 5 years, something like that. Mostly using the Java language and Kotlin language. For last 3 years, I'm using the Kotlin language. And I develop for e-commerce and healthcare projects. Yeah, that's I think the most important projects that I was working on. I started my journey as a junior software developer at auto.ria.com, dom.ria.com, and ria.com. It's one of the largest online automotive real estate and general classified marketplaces in Ukraine. And when I grow up to senior, I just try to find something else for myself to grow. And I joined to Capgemini, and it's like the most of the biggest global companies that specify to technology services, digital transformation, and renovations. Yeah, it's one of the largest multinational company in the world, and it has like more than 50,000 employees only in engineering sector, and they spread across more than 20 countries in the world. So that's a few words about myself.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Alex.
Hear myself.
Somebody's logged in, I
Yeah,
think.
sorry.
Come on, Tracy. Just kidding.
As I said, we didn't know who will be our audience, and that's why let's get to know each other a little bit. If you do consider yourself to be a tech person, whatever you do, understand behind that term, could you please raise your hand so we would know that?
Technical person?
Yeah,
We have some, if you're online, you can raise your virtual hand.
there are some people here.
Couple online too. You probably can't see them, but.
That's great.
Oh, we signed out. Signed out.
Signed out.
of the Zoom session.
It's still good online, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay, good. So I assume that all the others do consider themselves to be non-tech people, and that's great because we tried to make it understandable for non-tech folks too. We'll start from the that's from the table of contents. We'll start with the native development, which is Android and iOS, then proceed to cross-platform development. We'll start from React Native, go into Flutter, talk about a little bit about no-code and flow-code, then about Kotlin multi-platform, which is the latest addition from the JetBrains. And we'll finish with some future notes or predictions, what will happen in mobile world, and some our conclusions. We'll answer two important questions: what technology would I need to choose if I want to start new project in 2023, and what technology should I choose if I want to learn some mobile in 2023. So starting with native development. Native means that developers are as close to the mobile framework, I mean iOS or Android, as it's possible. That means that iOS and Android code bases are not shared or crossed. As a consequence, we have two teams, and we have high cost because we have to support two teams for development and support both Android and iOS applications. In 2023, many companies still do prefer going native because this is the most possible robust option, and it allows to build almost anything. It's also relatively easy, to hire a native developer, as the technology is something like 15 years old, and a lot of people know how to do it properly. And this is just a brief picture of the mobile OS market share. As we see, Android and iOS take almost 100%. I rounded it up, where 1/3 holds by iOS, and other part is held by Android, which makes Android 2.5x bigger than iOS. I mean, in terms of running devices. And it makes Android the most popular operating system in the world. Now I'm passing the mic to Max. He'll tell you some facts about native platforms.
Yeah, so today I will present the native platforms. So let's start from the iOS. iOS belongs to closed ecosystem developed by Apple. The program, if you want to start to develop like the iOS operational system, you need to have the technical equipment. Like it's one of the main purposes to start of developing by iOS. So the operation system known as iOS was initially called like iOS, and debuted in the first iPhone in June 2007. It came with a base equipment like touch-based interface, Safari web browser, and pre-installed applications like mail, calendar, and contacts. At that time, the third-party libraries or like third-party applications was not available in the first iPhone. So Apple also, the next most important step in iOS development was actually the Swift programming language. Yeah, the Apple introduced Swift in 2014 as a replacement for Objective-C. And right now it's a primary language for development into iOS ecosystem. And Swift known as its static features, consistent syntaxes, and performance improvements. Like, let's try to see some core frameworks that using for iOS development. I think the most of the valuable framework is the Swift UI. It's the new one UI that was presented by Apple a couple of years ago. So right now it's the main framework that allows to build interactive UI in iOS ecosystem. So actually a couple more frameworks that you should learn to start develop into iOS will be the core data for data management and the core location for accessing location services. Those frameworks are simple and helps develop to iOS ecosystem. Also, I want to say a couple words about another one framework. Is called the Swift concurrency. Apple introduced it a couple of years ago also. It's the concurrency feature in Swift, which meant to simplify concurrent and parallel programming in iOS ecosystem. Yeah, I think that's all about the iOS. And let's go to the native Android program. So what's the main difference between the iOS and Android? Why Android is so popular? The first reason, I think, and the main reason, that's the open source operational system. So anyone can develop by Android, and anyone can provide something interesting to this operational system. So what about the Android? In September 2008, Google introduced Android 1.0, and which was the first installed on a HTC smartphone, also called like T-Mobile G1 smartphone. The initial version included the features like application, Gmail, Google Maps, and web browser, nothing else. Android is freely available open source ecosystem, and anyone can contribute to this ecosystem. Also Android allows custom OS versions. That's why it's so popular around the world, I think so. Let's go to the Kotlin language. Kotlin is a programming language used to create Android applications. It's modern and has the fixed type system. Also, it's highly expressive. In 2017, Google officially endorsed it for Android app development. It's grow and popular among the Android developer because it's offer many advantages over the Java language. So let's speak a couple words about the frameworks that used for Android development. I think the main frameworks already developed by Google. It's Android Jetpack. Google created Android Jetpack to collect libraries, tools, and architecture components designed to simplify Android development. It was developed to address performance and productivity. The goal of Android Jetpack is to make it easier for developers to create robust and maintainable Android applications. Yeah. So in this slide, you see like the available frameworks on the Android Jetpack, so you can like get more about them. I think online in documentation. Will be very useful to start learning Android development using those frameworks. And yeah, to the next one slide. And I have the fun quiz for you. After the presentation, you will have a chance to ask the questions for us. And also you will have the chance to guess a cool fact about Android. And if you currently guess my interesting fact, you will win a coffee chat. It is a great opportunity, I think so, for anyone who is interested into starting mobile development in 2023. So best luck. What fact? Some interesting. You will know at the end of the presentation. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Max. Oh, great. Now we have some picture about native development, and let's proceed to cross-platform solutions. From the early days of the existence of native development, people started to think how they can reduce the effort that needs to be done for developing mobile applications. And that's how the idea of cross-platform emerged. So people thought why we should maintain two code bases instead of one. And this is very logical. That's why in 2011, Microsoft already released the first version of Xamarin in how many years after? In 3 years after the
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
2008 was released.
So for that time, the timeline was quite tight, I would say. But in 2 years later, Drifty released Ionic, and the main language for Ionic framework was JavaScript. It's very important because allowing to write in JavaScript, we can attract a lot of front-end developers who mainly write in this language. In 2 years after that, Meta, previously Facebook, is released in React Native. The main language for that also was JavaScript. And in 2 years later, in 2017, Google is releasing Flutter, and the latest edition in 2020 was the Kotlin multi-platform. We'll briefly talk about some of these technologies. We'll skip Xamarin and Ionic because nobody writes for that nowadays. Maybe there is some maintaining of existing code bases, but I would say that these technologies are nearly dead. And that's why we'll start from React Native, and I am giving the word to Max.
Yeah. So, like I said, today I will present all native. So the next one will be React. Yeah. So React Native was developed by Facebook and as an open source project. It's this open source project will also develop for native applications for both platforms, like native applications for both platforms, and that's why it's called the cross-platform. This possibility reduce development time and effort compared to building the separate native applications. Yeah. So React Native used JavaScript. It's like the primary language for developing in React Native. This makes accessible to large numbers of developers that already knows the JavaScript language and are familiar with it. So while the React Native uses JavaScript, it also uses the native components, like for different platforms, like iOS or Android. That means that apps will built by React Native will have native looks and feel like native applications, but building the apps provide get user experience also in developing for native platforms. Yeah. So the next one. How does React Native works? Like you see on the screen, React Native uses so-called bridges, while the JavaScript and native threads are writing in completely different languages. The bridge is the feature that makes bidirectional communication between the native platform and JavaScript platform and threads possible. So under the hood, let's take the look under the hood. For example, you see that how it's working. UI event captured as a native event, but the processing for this one of the JavaScript, and the result will be serialized and sent over the bridge to a native world, and the native world will deserialize it, and it will be necessary to processing and update the UI. So, like you see, I just wanted to mention that the bridge will be the bottleneck in the React Native development. Yeah, but we will speak about that a little bit later. So let's briefly take a look of pros and cons about React Native development. So pros, I think so it will be the cost effective, cross-platform, it's open source project using JS. Like I say, it's easy to learn it for huge amount of developers, and yeah, it's quickly to learn, I think so. What about cost? I think the one reason, the one main is the limited customization possibilities. Like you can face the lag when you try to add some third-party libraries. Yeah. So in some cases, it will not be possible to write the application in React Native. So you need also like use the native platforms or just do not use the React Native. It's in some cases. Also, the last one, but not least, like I say, the bridges can be the bottleneck in the React Native due to the asynchronous and disconnected nature. And it's possible to produce or lead the issues in the React Native platform. Yeah, I think that's all about the React Native. Maybe we have some other interesting technologies that will help us to develop cross-platform applications.
Sure, we have.
Alex, please.
Thank you. The next technology is Flutter, and the idea was Flutter was firstly described when the React Native was released in 2015, and the first release of Flutter happened 2 years later, in 2017. So Flutter is a cross-platform framework for delivering applications to various platforms like mobile, Android, iOS, desktop, Linux, macOS, Windows, and web too. The Flutter itself is written in C++, that makes it quite efficient, and Dart. And talking about Dart, it's the main programming language for the Flutter. While there are many Dart libraries developed already, its practical application is quite limited by Flutter itself. And this is one of the drawbacks of the Flutter. Flutter performance is quite close to native, while it's quite difficult to be as performant as native. Flutter does it pretty well after years of development and improvements. And important thing to mention is that Flutter allows to call native code similar to React Native, but not directly, again, through so-called platform channels. So from this perspective, there is some similarity with React Native and Flutter. This is the diagram, like the big picture, how Flutter works. So as we see, we have the application that is written on Dart. It communicates with the Flutter framework in two ways. The first way is it may want to render some UI, or it can try to access platform-dependent APIs through the platform channels. Platform-dependent APIs can be, for example, camera, audio, location, some sensors, and so on. and how UI is written, they use Canvas for this. Canvas is provided by the underlying platform. This is something that we can draw into. So combining these two options, rendering UI and accessing platform-dependent APIs, developers can write almost any Flutter application. Talking about complaints about Flutter, here is the screenshot of the Flutter application. As we see, in most of the cases, it looks exactly the same because it draws the same UI on Android and iOS, and it may be a complaint from the iOS users, as they are not used to material design. They're used to their native UI components provided by Apple. Another drawback, going backward, is that the platform-dependent APIs are accessed through these platform channels. That's why we don't have, we cannot tune it as we would be able if we would access it directly. So the same drawback as with React Native. And talking about comparison about Flutter and React Native, here is a simple diagram. I took this screenshot by myself. This is worldwide Google trends for Flutter and React Native over the last 5 years. As we see, Flutter is leading right after its release. So the crossing happened when Flutter was released. And there is one more screenshot for Canada. So the situation is nearly the same. That's why we can say that still, despite some drawbacks that Flutter have, developers and application producers find it more useful than Flutter Native, or sorry, React Native. And the logical continuation of the Flutter was a development of a no-code and low-code platform.
Yeah. So I just wanted to introduce you Flutter Flow. It's like no-code and low-code platform. That allow you to build applications, just drag and drop some UI elements, and that's why I think it's very popular right now platform, because it's allowed to build applications for non-technical person. Yeah. So in May 2021, Google present new innovation. It was created by developers, co-developers from Google. This platform allowed to build native iOS and Android applications, and not only, also web applications and desktop applications. And this platform was called Flutter Flow. Yeah, in October 2022, Flutter was released the Flutter Flow version 2.0. So, like you see, it's fast growing and definitely new platforms that allow to build applications without the coding. So, what you can do using the Flutter Flow? Actually, you can build, like I say, different applications. You can also using the third-party libraries that it could be like the Firebase. It also could be the GitHub, navigation, anyone, third-party libraries, too much libraries to build native applications for both platforms. Also, you can integrate like the authentication libraries. It could be like the Google authentication or Facebook. So also when you integrate the GitHub into your Flutter flow, you will be able to port your application into code and use it and be the owner of that code. That's like the mostly important part of the Flutter flow that you should know on the start. Maybe some pros and cons about the Flutter flow. Couple, yeah. So the pros, I think it's very easy to start. It's enough documentation to start it, couple of video tutorials, and you can start build your native applications. Yeah, you can always port those applications into your code base, into your GitHub, and be owner of those applications. But also you have some troubles with Flutter flow. I think one of them is that the tools are just on the start of it, and it don't have so much UI elements that you can use to build the application. I think she will grow, and it will grow, and you can use it in future more interesting UI elements to build your application. Like, yeah. So also what I can say about the Flutter flow, it's maybe not the correct tool for professional developers. You should like choose someone else. Maybe it will be the Flutter or Kotlin multi-platform or something else. Yeah, but not this one. It's like just for start, maybe. Some fast MVP project. Yeah, so I think I will end of speaking about the Flutter flow, and we can go
Great, thanks.
to someone else.
Okay, so the latest addition to cross-platform technology market was the Kotlin multi-platform. The first release, as I said, happened in 2020. It's a powerful cross-platform technology that allows to deliver applications actually to the same set of platforms as Flutter. So it's all the mobile, all desktop, and web. And let's start from the demo application. This is, can we play it? Do you know?
Press the arrow one more time and I think it should play. I think.
Yeah.
Volumes, there's no volume.
We don't need. So this is just a POC that I wrote a couple of months ago. The app is called Credit Tracking. It allows to manually track financial transactions from different users. As I see, I am adding a transaction from Android device. It automatically appears in iOS. It signalizes with some kind of error, and then I am adding another transaction to eliminate this error on iOS device, and it automatically will appear in Android. Yeah, so the sweet thing about this, about it, that the code base is 99.9, maybe even more % shared about platforms. The UI is quite similar as in Flutter, and let's proceed to the Kotlin multi-platform architecture. At first, Kotlin multi-platform started as a shared business logic for the underlying platforms. So we can use it only for mobile or for a broader set of platforms. But on top of that, we can have shared business logic. And this is the first step. Aside of that, we can have platform-specific logic, like iOS-specific, Android-specific in this case. And this is one of the major differences between Flutter, because here we have dedicated place for that. On top of the Kotlin multi-platform, there is one more framework from JetBrains. It's declarative UI framework. They were highly inspired by Android's Jetpack Compose. and it's reflected in the name. It's named Compose Multi-Platform. So here we can share our UI. The cool thing about Compose Multi-Platform is that we can write UI for all the platforms, or we can write UI for some platforms that will be shared across some platforms. For example, we can have here like desktop application too, and UI can be shared for Android and desktop because Material probably works for desktop, but Material doesn't work for iOS. That's why we can still go on with the Swift UI and leave native look and feel for iOS platform. And this robustness is was one of the most cool things about Kotlin multi-platform itself, because we can tune like any layer of our architecture. We can directly access APIs and no bridges, whatever. We can specify our shared business logic for specific platform. We can write specific UI for any platform, or we can write some part of UI. Like we can share half of the UI, but some parts of it we can tune for the underlying platform. So it's very, very robust. Again, what are the complaints about it? That out of the box, if we share UI across the platforms with Compose multi-platform, as I said, it looks exactly the same. So maybe look and feel non-native for iOS devices. However, it's customizable. And this ability to customize is one of the major differences between Flutter and Kotlin multi-platform. The effectiveness of Kotlin multi-platform in terms of speed is nearly same as the native thing. Now let's briefly talk about the future. So we are done with the cross-platform section too. What can we wait for? Few people knows that there is such thing as Fuchsia OS. It started as an experimental project inside Google. Chris McKillop, engineering manager of Fuchsia, observed an interesting pattern across the organization. So at that time, there were 4 different teams in Google who were working on the Linux kernel-based products, and one of them is Android. So the issue is that each team has to maintain the separate version of Linux kernel, and of course, it's a huge ineffectiveness. And the proposed solution was a new operating system. Later, it evolved into a new kernel called Zircon as a heart of the Fuchsia OS. And the OS is still experimental and requires a lot of work. However, it successfully runs on the Google Nest smart home device in production. And the future of it highly depends how Google will prioritize it. Because as far as I know, like rumors say that 16% of the Fuchsia team was recently laid off. Was impacted by recent Google layoffs, while the median number across all the teams in Google is 6%. That's why it's definitely not a priority for them, at least right now. So can it be the next big thing in IT or not? We don't know, and we just have to wait and see. But potentially it can be run anywhere, starting from the desktop and servers, finishing with mobile devices and embedded, any embedded devices. Now let's proceed to our final slides with questions. Like, for example, this one. I want to start a new mobile project in 2023. So what technology should I choose? Of course, there is no strict and simple answer. There are some ifs. So if the project is small, probably no-code, low-code technology like Flutter Flow is a good choice. It's also perfect for POC, proof of concept. If you want to pick something bigger, consider going with a cross-platform solution, something like Flutter or Kotlin multi-platform. Go with native only if you have very specific reasons for that. For example, you would like to work with platform-dependent API very closely, or this is, or you are developing an application for a large organization who used to work with the native technologies. I don't recommend using React Native nowadays, as it's a bit outdated. It has some performance issues with its bridge, and the market for it is not so big. Kotlin multi-platform and Flutter are left, and both of them, as I said, has pros and cons. Flutter is more mature, but still okay in most of the cases. On the other hand, Kotlin multi-platform is relatively young, but there are a lot of people on the market who can learn it in a short period of time. Like any native Android developer can be converted to Kotlin multi-platform development in just a matter of a couple of months. And if the app will closely work with operating system and APIs, then probably it's better to go with the native solution.
Alex, yeah, just if we want to wrap this up, then we have just some questions, and I just want to be able to give the online people a chance to get into a breakout room to meet each other. So we'll do one more minute here, and then
We will have in a couple of
okay.
Slides the questions and answers.
We only have like 8 more minutes till online people have to go, so we'll just, if you can wrap it up in a minute here. And
okay, yeah.
thanks so
Okay,
much.
then we'll skip this one because the answer is pretty similar to the previous question, and actually that's it. So I was able to wrap up in less than a minute.
Yeah, and actually I just wanted to remind about the quiz. So you need to guess the interesting fact about Android. So the answer in the next slide. So maybe during the Q&A session, you will just ask a question and also propose some interesting fact about Android. And if it will be close to my interesting fact, so you will win a gift. Yeah. So let's start our Q&A session.
Questions?
Sure.
From online, yeah?
Yeah, we've got a few online, and maybe we'll just start with those because
Yeah.
So there's a question here around what your thoughts are on progressive web applications, PWA, and are they still being built?
I have no idea what is it.
No idea what they are.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to contribute here?
Yeah, I can say a couple words about progressive web applications. I think they dying because like we have a lots of different possibilities to build applications. Like they will be like the native, you can use the cross platforms, or you can use the native instruments. So progressive web applications can be usable only if you want to like reduce the cost of development. Yeah, that's why we're using the progressive web applications. In any other cases, the most interesting and convenient UI interface will be on native applications or cross applications.
Okay, I think that was all in the chat. Feel free to put your hand up in the Zoom room if you have a question. You can unmute. I believe we can hear you, so feel free to do that if need be. In a second or two.
Hi.
Sorry, go ahead, Dimitri. Yeah.
Yes, I actually have several questions. So have you heard about not React Native, but Cordova?
Yeah, we even didn't include the Cordova in our slides. In our opinion, the technology is dead.
Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
how so? Why do you think it is dead?
Because the market has shrinked, and like there are no positions for Cordova. If you go to LinkedIn jobs and search for a Cordova developer, you probably will find 0 positions or so.
And you will be disappointed about the amount of position.
That's yeah.
All right. But regarding technology itself, as opposed to the market, like, do you know what particular pain points are for people who are using Cordova?
I'm not very familiar with Cordova, to be honest. Yeah, but
all right. I can give my opinion on Cordova. It works pretty well. I mean, I suppose that it could have the same issues as React Native, that it is running JavaScript. But this particular issue, I believe, can be alleviated by using WebAssembly, which is, if you're not dealing with DOM a lot, it can actually be beneficial, like 60 times faster than JavaScript. And that's why I was curious what particular problems with Cordova are, because right now we don't have, we are not deeply rooted in this technology, so we can quickly switch to, I haven't mentioned, like Tauri. Tauri Mobile, it is Tauri is pretty much Electron, but right now they are trying to make possible running applications on browser too. Possibly, I think it is a good idea to give others opportunities to ask questions, and I'll ask more questions later.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Well, in the interest of time, and I know lots of people will have to jump off at the top of the hour, particularly virtual. We'll just head straight into community announcements right now, and then if you're online and you can stick around and want to get thrown in a breakout room, we'll gently place you in a breakout room. And we'll also have time to network here. So just wanted to say thank you to Citi for partnering with us on events here and there, so we can combine our communities, and many of which individuals overlap. So big thanks to Tracy, to Zach, who's out in Vancouver there, and to Max and Alex for sharing your depth of knowledge. I feel like Pixels and Pints is this week, maybe tomorrow night. Does anybody know? Oh, it's yesterday. Shoot, okay. So just had me thinking of other dev meetups that exist. Pixels and Pints is kind of the dev meetup for Calgary. So check that out on meetup.com if you're interested in, dare I say, nerding out with your fellow developer friends. I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in potentially working with you, or how they might access better dev talent. It's a question we get asked a lot in the rainforest about, how do I build a tech product if I'm not technical? So hopefully, thank you for sharing your contact info, and we'll be sending people your way. But as I mentioned, there's lots of this activity here, so we can talk about that post the Zoom here. But are there any community events that people would like to share? Either in the room or online? Just go ahead, Pete, you can unmute.
Yep. Just wanted to say thanks. And October 19th, mark your calendars, free lunch from noon until 2 o'clock. And we're doing entrepreneurial training, peer guidance, and with Thriving Minds. So we'll get an Eventbrite invitation out soon, but put it in your calendar and come on out and join us and have a sandwich and learn about how to become a strong, resilient entrepreneur.
Is that with Collectively Tangled?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can talk to Jade. He's sitting with amongst you guys. He's also one of the instigators.
Yeah, awesome. You guys, for those of you who aren't in the room here, these monitors are ginormous. If you only knew how much speed we had in the room right now, it's insane. Okay, great. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Jade, and Pure Guidance. That's a great initiative. So we'll look forward to more information. Anyone else want to share any community announcements before we head into some networking? That's a lot of people. Who's typing from this other rainforest first name? It's not me. Okay. Anyway, oh, we've got something here from Dimitri, another event. I'll just click on the link here so I can see what it is. Lunch Without Lunch next week. We will be featuring the Women Entrepreneur Knowledge Hub out of Ryerson, but they also have presence here in Alberta, helping women entrepreneurs grow their businesses. All the resources available from them. The week after that, we have more around diversity, equity, and inclusion in the ecosystem. We have Jedi Hub joining us who can share all of their diversity, equity, inclusion policy, templates, tools that startups and founders can use to build those in their own companies. We'll be featuring founder Sean Crump on October 11th. And Tara, who's in the room here the following week in October around neurodiversity. So join us for all of those. You can register for the October Lunch Without Lunches as soon as Amber gets home. No, just kidding. I could probably update that later today, but they aren't available currently, but watch for that. Pete, if you could dance, that'd be great. We could all see you on these monstrous screens. And thank you. And for those of you who came in person, a big thank you for showing up in this way. We'll have a survey out shortly to kind of gauge people's preference on in-person, hybrid, or virtual, because we hear a lot about what everyone's preferences are. And at some point here, we're going to have to make a decision on a constant pattern for 2024. So watch for that. And so much more happening in November, Innovation Week. So your calendar should be marked for November 15th. That's midweek. This year it's corresponding with a Google Dev conference and I think something else, maybe an Alberta IoT thing. So there's going to be a ton of activity within that mid-November to end of November timeframe. Start clearing your calendar so you can participate. And we'll have more information on that very, very soon. Check back probably to Platform. On that note, thank you all. And for those of us here and ask more questions to Alex and Max here now. And if you want to stay online and take part in that, feel free. Is that okay, Michael?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Questions for Alex and Max, back to the pre-scheduled programming. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, suggestion about the interesting fact about Android. Come on, guys.
Come on. Who wants interesting fact about Android? Who's got one? Trace, you got one?
Any ideas?
Android was originally developed for cameras.
For cameras?
Must
Really?
be an operating
Good
system
one.
for cameras.
Was that the fact you had in mind?
Maybe we will get some other interesting.
Someone else.
I will show the answer for that. Maybe some questions.
Yeah, for sure. There's got to be questions. Don't be shy, please.
Don't be shy. Yeah.
Alex, do you want to go to the?
I'd love to ask
Zach?
a question on testing and enterprise applications in traditional systems. So rolling out apps into a large organization is often, confronted by users, and obviously they want, these fun, interesting new applications to use, but have they, what do you think about the load balancing and some of the back end systems and old traditional systems that need to be tied in, and that the whole kind of full testing so that we're not taking down, enterprise applications inadvertently? And then of course there's cybersecurity to be tested here too.
Okay, I'll answer the second part of the question about cybersecurity. And in terms of mobile, I would say it's highly undervalued usually. This is what people miss. However, there are cybersecurity frameworks for mobile, but I haven't been asked any single question about it on any interview. I don't know why. Just nobody pays attention to mobile cybersecurity, but there are a lot of malware that is developed for Android. Recently, I was studying one of those, and these bad guys, they can be very creative.
Yeah, the bad guys can come in through the devices that are connected to the devices.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to give the answer for the first part of the questions. Maybe, did you initially ask about the architecture of big enterprise projects, how it's going on? Yeah. So actually, in the big enterprise projects, we have like I'm working on the big enterprise project, so we have the spread teams. Like that's something around 4 or 5 person, and they are responsible for. We have team responsible for features. For example, we have teams that will be responsible for SDK part of the projects. Also, we have the teams that will be responsible for testing, like the not the unit testing of the code, but automation testing and building CI/CD. Yeah, so I think diversity is the main thing during the building the huge enterprise projects. So they usually pay attention to UI because like the first thing what user will see, it will be the UI. So they need to build like the clear for user, productive, fast UI. So I think a huge amount of work will be doing into UI, building the UI. So the second one part, like you say, like I say, it will be the SDK part. It could be spread to core part, some other libraries that will be included in the project. They try to not use the third-party libraries. They try to make own implementation, some of them that we use it. For example, maybe dependency injection will be developed by self inside the team. Yeah. So about security, yeah. So they have the teams that will check it application for security properly. So they could like test the application, like on the bad side. They also can test the application on the good side, like inside the SDK or core part of the project. So what they can use usually, yeah. To be honest, I don't know the toolkit what they use it, but they given the recommendation during the development, and we just use those recommendations during the development. Yeah. So
DevSecOps team, right?
Yeah. So it will be the decision. We do not check the application on the vulnerability. Yeah. We just go through the list and do what they say. Because like if we will test the applications in our site, we can miss something. So it will be like more better to test from the other side. It must be some separate teams that will be test application.
And a fun fact about the size of mobile teams in large organizations is that each mobile team can be as big as at least 30-40 developers for Android, 30-40 developers for iOS. And they may be even bigger, like in Meta, for example.
Okay, I hate to cut the conversation short, but we'll have to start to wrap up, or at least give some time for you to mingle with everyone who's in the room. I have to step out for a call. A huge thank you to you both, to City and to Micah and Michael, who's now stepped out and I can't thank in person, but they do a lot of work to get us set up in this hybrid fashion and just a platform for hosting us today. So thanks everybody for coming, and hopefully see you next week.
Thank you very much.